Guys, guys, and gals, have you ever just like seen some bullshit and it just makes you go, what is happening? Every time, every time. Diane Yap says over on X, I would rather be a temporary fleshlight for a 9 or 10 than a permanent sex slave and a housekeeper for a 5. I'm sure most women feel the same way. And this was seen 3,000, over 300,000 times. Now, I'm just going to sit here and say this. The saddest thing about this is it's not most women that feel this way. And I'm sticking up for the ladies. As your friendly favorite neighborhood misogynist, I'm sticking up for the ladies because I don't hate women. We have a serious problem where we have low quality women that are interwoven with decent women. And the decent women are going to stick up for the low quality woman because to not do so means to go against the hive. So they can never really get out of that the bullshit unless they separate from them completely. And what ends up happening is once decent women break away from those the low quality women, they end up becoming high quality women by default, at least to men. A woman sitting here and saying something like this is eye opening, at least to someone like me, because it not only reinforces my idea that the inflated egos that a lot of these women have is insane. It's absolutely insane because they really do live in a different world. Amazing. First time this has happened to me. So I'm guessing this person tried to delete this or retweet this. Something happened. I'm not exactly sure. But let's just go through some of these comments. I was a housekeeper, etc., for a sub 5 man. I'd rather be abstinent for the rest of my life than go through that again. So you were fucking with somebody who you said in the end you didn't find that attractive. Just for the record, ladies and gents, 5 is average. 5 is average. Women's looks degrade over time. It's just this is just that's just time. That's just the way time works. They put so much value on the physical that they don't develop the mental. And I get it. They were not forced to. Throughout history, they are not forced to do this. So what ends up happening is the worst, the bottom of the barrel, right? You ever got something to drink and you shake that shit up at the bottom and that nasty whatever artifacts or whatever that's at the bottom of the barrel just floats up and kind of makes all the rest of the drink murky type shit? That's what this is. This is what happens when they get way too far ahead in their delusions. So, many such cases avoid like the plague, at least being with a 9 10 is temporary and you can easily bail when it's not what you want anymore. These women would not know what an 8 or 9 looks like to them. I guarantee you, in their heads, the way that they're playing this, they're messing with at best 7 and 8s. And again, absolutely nothing wrong with that. But to sit there and call somebody, in my eyes, calling somebody a 10 is just stupid. But in their head, what makes this person a 10? See, for girls, it's much easier, right? They just got to do the 666. Or not even, they just got to be good at one. Either have some type of status that automatically puts you above everyone else, either be rich and have fuck you money that puts you above everyone else, or be tall. That's it, right? That's really it. That's really all it is. So why not have temporary sexual relations with average looking men? Not attractive enough. All right, so this has absolutely nothing to do with the person. It's all about the physical. All right. Now, before we get any further in this, I just need to show you guys what she looks like. Now, 9 and 10s are not going after this. So this is Diane here, or Diane Rapp, or whatever the fuck her name is. And I just got to sit here and say this. I take no pleasure in making fun of anybody's looks, at least not if they started bullshit with me. In fact, I think that is beneath me to do this. But I just want to set the example here as what type of person and what type of world they live in. With them saying things like this, but looking like this, I just want you guys to see it. I want you guys to see it. This person right here is saying she rather fuck hot guys than average looking men, or being sorry, being permanent housekeepers, sex slaves. She's talking about she would rather be fucked like a piece of property than actually raising a family with an average looking man. I think the corruption, the like I don't know about the degrading, but like just the damage over time has now officially affected all races. You know, I used to look at Asians as, and I'm pretty sure this person is Asian. I used to look at Asians as the best of the races in terms of intelligence, maybe not in terms of physical prowess. That's for the Vikings and the blacks. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Usain Bolt's Jamaican, right? Is Usain Bolt Jamaican? Maybe Africa. I don't know exactly what he is, but whatever. We the blacks, the black race and the Ajantas have it locked down when it comes down to physical prowess, at least for the most part, until you run into like the Brock Lesnar's. But in terms of our women, all types of women, it doesn't matter what race it is, you will find these batshit insane women of all the races just having these inflated egos living in their own reality. Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. With enough alcohol for a short enough time, they will. But she feels that she deserves a 9 or 10. Once you understand it, she understands the problems with dating today. Absolutely. And this is what I mean. Did you see? I didn't say anything about the way that they looked. I'm not calling this person unattractive or attractive. What I am sitting here saying is that this person right here is sitting there talking about they would rather be fucked by a 9 or 10 than have a successful relationship with an average man, because average in these people's lives is looked down upon. But she's just admitting it. That's the only difference is, and I just want to make sure you guys notice it. The only difference is this person is being honest, but not only is she being honest, she's also dragging other women into it. And if you look at the amount of likes to the amount of dislikes, right? They're getting closer to ratioing this person, but she has a lot more likes than comments. Meaning there are women and there are, the ones that live that lit lifestyle that they agree with them. And of course, this is X, which is the bottom of the pool, but it is sad. It is very sad. This is absolutely sad. Let's look at some of these quote tweets. I do have one more bookmark, I believe. There we go. Kathy Renzowitz, sounds Jewish, says, as if, I'm sorry, as if we're not using the 9 to 10 as a dildo. What is the point of a 5 with no income or domestic labor? Lady, nobody is asking you. You don't have to worry about either of these scenarios. This is why you don't do that. The most disgusting shit comes out of these women who will sit there and call somebody below them, and by their standards, they're the exact same way, or even worse, by women's standards, because let's be real here. Women get extra points just for putting on makeup, so they lie from the get-go. When I was growing up, there was this girl that I absolutely was infatuated, whatever that. Hope I didn't say infart with. I adored this girl, right? And one time we were talking, and she said that I was a 6, right? She said I was a 6. She said that um because I don't wear fancy clothes, or I don't do the hip things, whatever like that. And so she said, what do I think? What did I think of her? And I said, oh, you're a 6. And she could not take that. And she goes, oh, was it because you gave me a lower number? I was like, no. But actually, yes. You know what I'm saying? But again, It wasn't about that. You know, they don't like it when that same kind of thought process is put back onto them. That's all. Let's look at some of these quote tweets real quick. That's crazy, dog. Let's look at some of these quote tweets. True quotes. Women want to be sex objects. I mean, when you whoa, why is it okay? I mean, again, we already know that when it comes down to a lot of these things, if they're not benefiting from it overwhelmingly, then it's abusive, it's manipulation, it's harmful to women. But if they can use it, they'll be whores as long as they can sit there and say they're being boss bitches about it, right? As long as they're making money, right? As long as they come out on top in their heads, it's empowering. I was a housekeeper, etc. for a sub five man. I'd rather be absent. Okay. Feminist and red pill horseshoe. Women want to be sex objects. In the past, this physiology would have required a substantial dowry from her father to find a willing husband, and it likely would have been the local potato farmer's younger son. Now she's openly preferring the perpetual side piece as a badge of honor. Society is doomed. Just want to see what these people responded with this. Their fates are never pleasant. Is that her? Is that the Diane? I mean, I wouldn't call her a slut, but then again, she did really literally just say she would rather be a fleshlight. For those of you guys that don't know what that is, you guys and girls, for you, I'm gonna be as disgusting as possible describing it to the ladies. So you know when guys they get those burrito shaped, it's like a burrito. Think of a burrito, right? But the guy puts his dick in it and he fucks it, right? That's what a fleshlight is, right? Now, some of them have they've come a far way. Some of them vibrate. Some of them have mouths. Some of them leak. I believe they leak some type of fluids and shit like this. They say it feels just like the real thing. Apparently, I don't know. I think that shit crazy, but that's what those are. She said she would rather be that than being a successful family to a guy who's average. So in other words, she has absolutely no problem fucking with some guy just because to her he's attractive. Doesn't matter if he's in a relationship, if she wants to ruin it. Doesn't matter. She has no standards or no morals. Pretty much. That's pretty much what it is at the end of the day. Well, yeah, some white Chad would definitely hit that though. Not a terrible gig. Yeah, white guys do fuck Asians. That and so first generation Asians did not want their daughters fucking with outside the race. They only accepted whites. That's really the truth. Probably not Chad, just a chud. She get points for being Asian and hating black people. Chud probably wouldn't even bother, honestly. Oh god, it's another Groiper type, of course. San Francisco 9. A narcissist 30 plus year old 3 out of 10 Asian combo is just mad. No wonder she is miserable. Here lies temporary fleshlight. She only banged nines and tens. If you're good looking, please let us know if you bother putting clothes on the fucker. Ugly women have some insane delusions. She can't even be a fleshlight for anything above 8. An 8 would need to be fairly drunk to consider her. This is what I'm talking about. She's not fucking with top echelon men. Listen. She's okay. What in my head? This is my head canon. I think she ran into some fucking guy that she found attractive that straight up was like, "You ain't shit." And here's the thing: when you got attractive guys that are assholes, they tell girls straight to their faces that they're better than them and that they whatever, etc., etc. And they get away with it because the girls, a lot of these fucking girls, are okay with being treated like shit. In fact, who was the guy? Is it Whole Math? I stopped fucking with Whole Math a while ago when he masked off and played himself. He started acting real feminine, which is the opposite of why I was following Whole Math back in the day. Back in the day, like probably a month or some change ago. But Whole Math even said it and brought it up that when he was dating these girls and he was a fairly attractive dude, was in shape, all of that shit, he would purposely disrespect girls to see just how far and disrespectful he can get with these girls to see if they ever push back. And he said it was very rare that these girls push back. And it wasn't only him, it was other people that said the same thing. How much can you disrespect these girls when you're messing with them? The more attractive you are, the more you can get away with. It's just like ugly girls and cute girls with astrology. If you bring astrology up and you're not attractive to a guy, he's gonna be like, get that bullshit out of here. But if you're hot as hell, you could be a goddamn vampire. What about a permanent sex slave and housekeeper for a 10? Dude, you really think of who's these tens that you guys are talking about? They're taken. But anyway, what guy? First and foremost, most high value men are not gonna mess with a girl who's been ran through. So a girl sitting there talking about she wants to be a flesh. Listen, even though some people may sit there and call this woman unattractive and all of that, she still has a higher chance of having sex than the average dude because they don't really need to put in any work. She's probably went up to some guys and was like, "Hey, you want to," threw herself at some guys, and some guys was just like, "Fuck it, I ain't doing nothing else at the moment." Sure, it happens. I've seen it happen. So, translated from womanese, I'd rather be a side chick to a top tier man, red as Chad, than get married and to support the average man, red as most men. Please, more women be honest like this one here. It's not men's fault the marriage birth rate is collapsing. He's not wrong. There's too many women. Like I said, there are too many low quality women interwoven with the decent ones. And these women need to stop being afraid of being called pick me, stop being afraid of remove yourself from these people. These people are not your fucking friends. These type of women are not your friends. Sure, you may have a little bit of fun being a temporary fleshlight, like this girl right here claims, but eventually, once that clock starts spinning, once you start hitting a certain age, you start realizing that, oh shit, the shit with Amber Heard, the shit with all of these women who are turning 35 or plus up, who are having these kids, they're having these kids under optimal fucking scenarios, but you're just an average chick. So what's gonna end up happening is you're not gonna get that same thing because you either chased being a boss bitch or you were just lazy. You wasn't even being a boss bitch. You were just being lazy with an inflated ego, and you thought that you could just play around. And now you're 34 years old. Now you're 36 years old. Now you're 37 years old. Now you're 39 years old. Or my favorite, who was the girl who she's 50 something years old and she basically was sleeping with her friend her son's sports teammate, and she said, "Oh, I had COVID brain." That was her excuse. Or Beyonce Knowles' mother, who's 71 years old, who just divorced her husband and said, "I woke up one day and I just said I deserve better" at 71 years old. Just bad decision making all around. Me no Molly average man. Orgy Molly. I can't read that shit. That shit crazy. I would rather be a temporary fresh right. Oh, they're doing the Asian voice. I would rather be a girl's getting on a. I would rather be a temporary fleshlight for a 9 to 5 than a permanent sex slave. Yo, you're making me go eight and fucking raise. Get out of here. Than a sex slave and housekeeper for a 5. I'm sure most women think this way. Oh God, what is that picture? No woman thinks like this. What is wrong with you? No, that's bullshit. Plenty of women think like this. I know somebody's saying that yeah, setting us back. No, there's a lot of women that think like this. I just hope that it's not the. I just hope that it's not more than half. Not gonna lie, this is Red Black Pill 101. I get a lot of flack for hating women, but I honestly don't think I've ever degraded women to the level of female advocate. The level she's a female advocate. Degraded women to the level female advocates. She's a female advocate, dog. BP for confirmed, guys. I don't know what that means. Is that black penis? I don't. I guess. I don't know what that means. What the hell does that? I don't know what that word is, so I'm not gonna say it. This is a good example of how social media makes people delusional. This lady is less than average looking and is boasting about her preference for Chad. Such a woman wouldn't even think of you as a good enough for a fleshlight. Settle for who matches and you like you, dumbass. Women clearly make up their own bad choices and somehow still end up blaming men. I literally just did a video with this woman from Russia who's gorgeous. It's a gorgeous woman from Russia who was a teacher who she said she was forcing herself up on a student. Now the student didn't tell, but for 4 months she was fucking with a student. She forced him to touch her titties. She was sending him explicit texts, showed him some nudes, all of that shit. And we don't know what else they did. We don't know. They probably fucked and we don't know. Anyway, um her reasoning behind it, she said, was because he showed her attention and complimented her during the school hours. That's the reason. And all of her social media is taken down, but she has a post that says it doesn't matter what you do, men always have power over you. You can't stop them with your body, with your stomach, etc., etc., etc. Somehow, still blaming men. Anyway, I'm pretty sure we can continue reading the commentary, and it's just gonna be the same thing. She's a four, by the way. This is a bug, not a human. What the fuck? The amount of degrading this account has done to the amount of degrading this account has done in this statement on women is astonishing, all things considered. Who thinks of women as sex slaves or fleshlights? Men have had to beat into their head for generations. I'm sorry, Men have had to beat it into their head for generations now that women are not sex slaves or a sexual object. But it seems we need to beat that same thing into women. Women see themselves as sex objects, too many for my liking. Feminism was supposed to make women strong, independent, and use their intellect. Feminism was a fucking joke. Feminism never did anything. And yes, women should be beaten the same way as men were beaten all these years. Women never learned to grow the fuck up. So when you find these women who are decent, who pull themselves out of this bullshit and they separate from these low quality women, or you find a naturally high quality woman, right? You keep those. The low quality women, you stay far, far away from these women because they're a dime a dozen. They're every fucking where, and they're always going to be there to ruin everything and to ruin other generations of women. That's just how they work. And the scariest thing about it, low quality women have children, full children, and then they've ruined the next generation of women. It is what it is. I said I was gonna be done, but I gotta finish this. I gotta read some more of these. We need common sense. I don't know what that word means. I'm not saying it. I don't know what that word means. I'm not saying it. From the horse's mouth. This is the consequences of giving women freedom. No, women deserve freedom. Women deserve the right to make choices. My deal is going across the board. Women should not vote, just like men should not vote. They should also take a test to be allowed to vote. I think people who come into a country, if you do not pledge allegiance to that country and prove that you have allegiance to that country, you should not be allowed to vote. But when it comes down to women and men, there should be a test like when you go to school. And if you're not above a certain threshold that you understand the history of that country, etc., you should not be allowed to vote. Now you can retake that test every 4 years or something like this, but you should not be allowed to vote. And on top of that, every 8 years or so, something like that, you got to retake that test to vote. I think that's beautiful, actually, because the problem is, and I'm speaking specifically for women, women think emotionally. You tell women a bunch of things that pull at their heartstrings, they'll vote to kill grandma, grandchild, and their children if it's the right thing to do. Yeah, fucked up. It is what it is. I said what I said. Not most. All women think like, no, don't do that, dog. All women think like this, and it's time to stop lying about it. See, even I, your favorite friendly neighborhood misogynist, knows that that's bullshit, right? I know most women don't think like this. I believe more women than less lean left, but most women don't think like this because even low quality women, after they had all of their fun and then they start regretting things, right? Don't think like this. The problem is, them low quality women get saved all the fucking time. But even they don't think like this. Your face is way too big to be talking about nines and tens. Permanent sex slave and housekeeper. Yeah, that's totally what marriages are like in the 21st century. You nailed it, sweetie. Typical Asian women. They say this, then fuck a line cook with hand hats and mommy issues. No comment on this, but when I first read it, I thought she meant that she'd rather be transformed into a literal fleshlight. I mean, well, yeah, yeah. Same type of woman that will fly out to go fuck some random dude that they met on Instagram or something like that if they're attractive enough. Yes, this has also happened. Yes, with multiple different races of women that I've covered on my channel in the past. Yes. The answer to this, yes. It isn't Cobra Tate that will red pill men. It isn't Rational Male that will red pill men. It isn't even Oshala, Wizard or John Doe that will red pill men. It is women themselves that will red pill men. Yeah, that's the reason why dating. That's the reason why the dating scene is so fucked up. That is the reason why marriage is so bad. This is the reason why so many men are not. They don't want to marry because they know nothing goes in their fucking favor once they get married. So you end up marrying a woman that you thought was a decent woman, and you give her a chance, and then she pulls up all these fucking red flags, and you find out she wasn't worth shit, and it's just nothing but the rest of your life of pain. No guy wants to go through that. World's most self-aware woman. Here we have the problem with most modern women. They literally want to live out the rape fantasies of all my hentai manga I read. Well, when you find out that like 43% or 34%, it's one of the 2% of women have rape fantasies, pretty goddamn scary. New sexual market will create a world where attractive women just get rich receiving money from simps and marry nice random dudes, and ugly women will be the last ones to give to want to give the fleshlight or high value men like Carolyn Ellison, I don't know how to say that, getting gangbanged by billionaire nerds. Listen, you know what's actually funny about this? Now that I think about it, women don't even need to be pretty dog to fuck with a bunch of men. They don't. You have all of these average ass girls, and I'm saying average, meaning not good or bad, just average. And then you got these girls who, by their own standards, or just, for example, remember who was that police officer that fucked half her force? Remember she fucked like half of her force, and then she turned around. She was married to a religious guy. She fucked like half of the force, and then um trying to do threesomes and all of that, and she got caught because she was trying to get somebody else's wife into a threesome, and the wife said no, which is ironic because I believe the husband name was Jebediah or some shit, and Jebediah apparently they did some shit where they was doing threesomes in the beginning, and so don't get me wrong, um, you should have seen that shit coming. That's what happens when you fucking play around with Pandora's box. You can't close Pandora's box once you open it. But what did you expect? You was playing with Pandora's box. She told you to put the whole fist in. She was hurting for a squirt, and you played with that fucking box. You can't close it. So what ended up happening is this girl named Megan Hall was what was it? Let me see if I can find. Is it Megan Hall? Is it Megan Hall? So Megan Hall, right? Can I make this bigger? I don't want to look at YouTube though. Just want to make it bigger. All right, here we go. Close that. Why is it not making it bigger? Here we go. Can I make that bigger? Megan Hall fucked like a majority of the people inside of her police department. Can I get it like that? Without it doing extra stuff, please? Please? Thanks. She fucked a whole bunch of people in her police department. And when she eventually got caught, she got removed from the police department, all of that. Okay, so you're running an ad. Wonderful. I love it. Wonderful. Um, she got removed, but and after she went to court, she basically sat there and said they groomed this woman. This woman, they groomed her. They groomed this woman into sleeping with all those men. And then she was she awarded half a million or was it a million? I can't remember the number. How much was she awarded? Megan Hall awarded how much? I think she was awarded like a quarter million or some shit like this. Yes, Megan Hall was awarded $500,000. Still married too to the guy because religious people they stay in relationship. What is all this? They stay in relationships that absolutely anybody who's normal would say absolutely not. But yeah, and again, this all that this says is even if you're not a 7 or an 8 or a 9 or a 10, you can still get away with the craziest shit if you're a woman. Because a lot of guys don't care about that. That's how bad it is. Guys are so starved up. They're so desperate that they'll pick a girl who just talks to them, who's just nice to them, who may be just a little freaky. They'll wife these women up. But then you'll have women like this, dog. You'll literally have women like this talking about some I'm a sex object. Man.